What is up, ICP squad? Welcome to the channel. As always, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you like our content. Also, leave a comment for a chance to win one of 3 ICP for the best comment. So leave a comment below. So we've had some pretty bad price action lately. With ICP going in a downwards price discovery, we've been seeing dropping and dropping prices. So I wanted to make a video discussing my ICP's most bullish scenario. What would it take to get ICP to the moon? Now, this is not financial advice, but here goes my ICP most bullish scenario. Number 1, massive burning. As the price of ICP goes down, the price of cycles in terms of ICP goes up. This is because the same amount of money is required to run the dApps, but a way larger amount of ICP is required to be burnt in order to run these same dApps. We can see this here in this chart by Carl Langham, where the burn rate has already 4x'd since December. Now, this does include ecosystem growth, more users, and more dApps. However, it is apparent once we compare that chart to the price of ICP that as the price of ICP goes down, the burn rate goes up easier and easier and easier. Right now, when we have the cheapest prices in ICP that we've seen in a while, it's super easy to burn a whole bunch of ICP to run the same amount of dApps. That's my first one, massive burning. Number 2, dApps with massive amounts of users, millions of users. Currently, the ICP ecosystem has a couple of dApps with a couple of thousand users, but right now, as I'm making this video, we have something called the Supernova Hackathon. A hackathon where lots of participants are making new dApps trying to get funding from Dfinity. There's about $6 million in bounty prizes for these projects to create new dApps running on the internet computer. Now, let's combine those two things. Number 1, I said burn rate, right? As ICP goes cheaper, it burns more in order to obtain cycles. Now, if ICP goes cheaper at the same time that we get a whole bunch of dApps and a whole bunch of users, the burn rate is going to go insane. All we need is one dApp to get millions of users, and with those millions of users, the computing power necessary to run the dApps is going to create a burning mechanism that is going to boom to the moon in burn rates. Even at my second circumstance, this can already cause ICP to be a deflationary token, which leads me to point number 3, drawing back in speculative investors. Once ICP becomes number 1, deflationary, and number 2, has millions of users using dApps on the ecosystem, speculative investors are going to draw in like ants to a candy bar. This, of course, is going to cause the price to go boom. Number 4, massive short squeeze. For a long time, ICP has been going downwards in a downwards price discovery. This has been going on for a while, and a lot of people have been profiting from this a lot. These are called short sellers. But once we have the before mentioned environment, massive burning, massive adoption of users and dApps, and speculative investors coming in and pumping the price up, it's time for shorts to pay up. These shorts are going to have to cover their positions eventually, and when they do, you'll see a massive boost. This may already happen even before the before mentioned things happen, as they want to do so with the least amount of attention and boom. But trust me, the shorts have to cover their call. Number 5, tokenization. In the past, Ethereum has been wildly popular for tokens, including meme tokens and some serious projects, from Shiba Inu to Dogelon Mars, etc., etc. These projects have been wildly popular, but users have been paying massively expensive fees on the Ethereum network. Even today, when we have an unbusy bear market, the Ethereum prices are still wildly expensive in comparison to internet computer transactions costs. And albeit some users will be very attached to their Ethereum tokens in the Ethereum network, a lot of users are going to see the benefits of the internet computer and migrate to the internet computer ecosystem, again massively boosting the burn rate, popularity with speculative investors. Price to the moon. Number 6, the holy grail, Bitcoin and Ethereum integration. As stated before, a lot of users are not ready to let go of their Ethereum tokens, the Ethereum network, or just the value garnered around the Ethereum ecosystem. But with Ethereum integration, Ethereum tokens and the whole entire Ethereum ecosystem can now integrate into the internet computer, making a massive exodus into our ecosystem, again boosting prices, popularity, and retail investors. Now, on to the next part, Bitcoin integration. This is the massively and most important part of the bullish process. Bitcoin integration will not only bring in an ecosystem of Bitcoin users, but it's going to bring in a flow of massive capital that comes from Bitcoin maximalists. A lot of Bitcoin maximalists don't want to trade their Bitcoin for Ethereum or ICP or Solana or anything. They want to keep their Bitcoin, but they've never been able to participate in things like liquidity pools, buying NFTs, and purchasing other digital assets. Now with Bitcoin integration, that massive flow of capital can finally come into the internet computer and boost the ecosystem like a fire hurricane of Bitcoin capital. Again, bringing the ICP price to the moon. Number 7. Staking. Now that we have all of the before mentioned environment, ICP is now deflationary. It has millions of users doing dApps. It has billions of dollars in Bitcoin liquidity buying digital assets. Now it's time for the institutional investors to step in and lock in their ICP for the NNS, drastically reducing the ICP supply to 90%. This has been the plan all along, guys. There's not supposed to be 200 million ICP tokens. There's only supposed to be about 40 million, maybe even less once the burn rate goes up. Once we stake 90% of the ICP supply with no delay, there's going to be a massive boom in the price, as it's no longer a 400 million token supply, neither a 200 million floating token supply. It's now a 40 or even less, with a burn rate going up, supply of tokens. So imagine if ICP had only 40 million circulating tokens, and of those 40 million tokens, a million or more get burnt each year. That, guys, is when our price of ICP is going to take us to the promised land of $1,000 or even $5,000. It's completely possible. And lastly, number 8, the creation and release of the Badlands. A couple of months ago, Dominic Williams mentioned the release of Badlands. Many people on cryptocurrency, and especially Bitcoiners, have a massive distrust of centralization. One of the biggest criticisms of ICP has been that the network is too centralized. Node operators require lots of money and required KYC and require a wide array of things in order to operate. Therefore, in their eyes, it's not decentralized enough. With the release of the Badlands, we're going to have things like Raspberry Pis running nodes. Maybe even Tesla cars will run nodes. Maybe every person's cell phone can run a node. It's quite possible that every person who has a smartphone will be running an internet computer node. And when this is released, that last snippet of users, of crypto users, will come into the network, and ICP will be number 1 on the chart, the release of the Badland networks. With all of the before mentioned conditions met, I firmly believe ICP can and will be a $1,000 token. If it can reach prices of $600, $400, or even $300 with little to no environment and little to no users using dApps, only with speculation reach those prices in exchanges at launch, it can most definitely, within the span of 8 to 12 years, with a massive gain of users, dApps, Bitcoin liquidity, and speculative investors, it can definitely reach $1,000 to $5,000 per token as the supply is burned. What do you guys think? Can ICP be a $1,000 to $5,000 token? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Victor, ICP Squad. Catch you next time.